Good evening, traders. So today is another market recap. It was an awesome day. We've managed to play all sides of the market. We got some calls, some puts, and lost count in terms of how many trades we did, but everything ended up working here. So it was literally a mixed day here. And before I go into the success factors, I want to first discuss the key levels that we started off with. So for today, all our inflection points are as listed there. I'll put the labels on here so it's easier to see, but pretty much the whole purpose of having these levels is to get a understanding and the knowledge of knowing when to strike and pretty much to have an idea of when it makes sense to enter a put or a call. These levels also serve as a purpose of understanding of knowing when there is a strike and how far you want to go based on the relative price that you see. So my job here for these market recaps is to make it both educational, but also discuss how we did it, why we did it, and go over all that detail in this quick little clip here. Okay, so starting off for today, we've noticed that the market is still pretty much trading in our chop range here. Okay, so if we take out all this information over here, SPX pretty much was trading between 43.72 and 4400. So we knew going into this trading day that this range is going to be chopped. And this right here is our analysis from the weekly point of view. We look at from a big picture and from a micro picture to really get an understand of knowing where we are. When we do this approach, it gives us a good understanding when it makes sense to swing versus scalp and trade fast. Because as an option trader, you got to know when it makes sense to do both, right? Is it in your favor to swing rather than scalp and so forth? When it makes sense to scalp, you want to make sure that you find something that's closer to the money and is relatively cheap versus when you're working on a swing. It's okay to have something that's a little bit further out, but the time factor is very important. So you want to recognize when the market's going to be slow and whatnot. We knew going into this day that there's going to be significant market activities that would influence the market overall. And these had to do with the economic details that were going on, primarily with the 30-year bond auction. Okay, so remember that the 30-year bond auction was very important. We shared that in the morning call and all of that detail. Another thing that we shared in the morning call, if you guys watched on our YouTube and if you're in our mentorship channel, we also gave highlights on trades that we liked. We knew going into today that semiconductor stocks would be strong because of the nvda news of that they have basically two new advanced chips that they're looking to sell in China, and that pretty much will protect them from the overall chip ban that the US may impose on China. So that's one thing. The second news that was important had to do with Tesla's massive downgrade from HSBC Bank. In our weekly review, we discussed Tesla in great detail, mentioning that it was likely to see 205, okay, because it was unable to break 227. So that's the key thing here. We did have 210 puts here that we held and we sold at a nice profit overall today. We also had nvda calls that we also managed to sell a nice profit. And you can see that based on our inflection levels, that 480 is a very hard level to break, and pretty much that was near its high of the day, and that's around where most members decide to take their profits. Okay, so besides all of that, a couple of things before I get into what's going to happen going forward. Our key levels that we had here. So let me just clean things up here so that way it's a little bit easier to see here. Okay, so every morning I give these inflection levels. We got the futures highs and the future low here. Pretty much the market was really chopped. I mentioned in my team that you want to avoid trading SPX when it's trading within the futures range because it's very weak. But when you see a level 2 hit, that is basically confirmation that the trend is going to be going towards the downside. This is not just any ordinary level. And if you guys are in my Discord, I explain the meaning behind each level in great detail here. You could see that level 1, bullish or bearish, represents a gatekeeping level. This is a level that pretty much tells you where the market is going to stay in that key range that we see here, okay? And it also imposes as a strong inflection point overall. Level 2 confirms the trend, and level 3 is usually the market peak, and so forth. So that really is good to know when you're going into this, because if you want to know where the market peak is and how far you want to go out with your plays, you're looking at level 3, and sometimes there's a level 4 as well. Okay, on my chart here, this is actually a level 3 bearish. It's just a typo on my indicator label here. Okay, but pretty much we've seen that the market futures, when the bond auction happened, so the bond auction was happening at around 1 p.m. So which is over here, okay? So when this bond auction was happening, I recognized the reason why. I told my team, hey guys, be very careful, because on my heat map analysis, which I have over here, it pretty much tells me, what sectors are doing well and what sectors are doing bad in the overall S&P 500. I pretty much seen big techs doing decent, with nvda holding the market and everything else looking bad, including Tesla as well. So this is very important as well. And the second thing that I recognize the market weakness is pretty much has to do with the overall yields here. The yields were rising into the bond auction. So this is very important, and I want you to remember that in great detail. The key sectors that were moving the market today had to do with the semiconductor space here. We've seen LRCX very strong, KLAC, Broadcom, and so forth. So those sectors were very strong. So based on that, money was rotating out of all those key sectors and going into the overall semiconductors because of the NVIDIA news. So what did we do? We played Broadcom. We had 50% profits here. Some people took LRCX. We gave some amazing trades on that as well, and a lot, and so forth. Okay, so that was a key success factor. So even though SPX was choppy, we weren't really concerned when it touched this 43.76 level at that time. But when we got closer to the bond auction, this is a point where we start to load our SPX puts, because once this level 2 hit, we knew that the trend is going to be confirmed. And these are the levels that you get in my room. And just to give you guys a confirmation that this is not some bull crap levels or anything like that. Pretty much you can see here that everything is time-stamped here. Let me get that better right. Okay. So you can see here, everything is time-stamped, 8:30. I gave these levels, and based on that, all the levels that we see are over here for your review. So level 2 was, say you kind of see that there was bounces, and, hit this part and so forth, and pretty much it held. There was a lot of activity where these levels were perfectly on the button. And when this level hit, we loaded SPX and we managed to do very well. Okay. In my pre-market notes, I also shared that we liked SMCI 275 call under 1 and 1.5. And guess what we did? We also call that trade out. This went from 1.5 to $5. Okay, so massive winner with that trade. We called out other trades like LRCX as well in the room. So a lot of awesome trades that were mentioned overall, and definitely really proud of that. Okay, a lot of the team members called it out too. So these are some of the gains that we had today. You can see overall we got NVIDIA 500 calls for things, so we managed to get out of these for nice profits. We had Broadcom as well that we sold. We had these Tesla 210 puts that we had since a while back, and we had a bunch of SPX winners, followed by more SPX, and then we took some MSTR. So a lot of plays that did very well, and the team overall did very successful. Okay, so when the bond yields start to go and we hit at an inflection point, that's when I knew that it's not a good idea to play calls on SPX at this time. Now that we covered all the success and how we did it and our process and so forth, I want to go over what's to come moving forward. Okay, so right now on my weekly market analysis, I'm starting to recognize that the 42 that the 43 100 premium put that I analyzed is starting to gain momentum here. Okay, I kind of mentioned in the room as well that when that happens, it's likely that we may see market over the market start to dump overnight. I have some levels that I have in detail, but overall, I noticed that this premium is jacked. So based on today's close and the overall bond auction and how it was, we see that the market can move significantly lower overnight. Okay, so overnight, I see that as a possibility where SPX may open up between 4330 and possibly even 4300. The overall press conference that Powell had was not bullish. He mentioned that rates are likely to go higher, and because of the bond auction that happened, and what the bond auction was is that basically it's they have a bunch of bonds. Basically, it was a 30-year that goes in auction, and if no one is willing to buy those bonds at the prevailing rates, then the demand for the bonds are going to be low. And because of that, in order for the bonds to really get sold at the auction, the yields have to be high enough for investors to really move forward. And if they're not high enough, what happens is that the market starts to believe, okay, that yields need to go higher in order for that demand to be suitable. So the bond auction didn't come in favor of the bulls and definitely affected the market, where we've seen techs move lower going forward. Okay, so one big problem there. So we see techs moving lower, and as a result, stocks that have a big problem, our weekly analysis suggests that Tesla has an estimated low at 205. It basically had 206, so very close. Could possibly even see 200 today. That's in case if that 205 breaks, likely you see 200. Below 200, anything can happen with Tesla. And nvda, rejected our this point of view, usually because level 2 hit. The trend is still there, so let's see if there's going to be a rebound back to 480. nvidia's most likely not going to crash compared to a lot of the other stocks, so keep in mind of that. We're seeing Meta as well. It hit our level 2 zone, which confirms the trend. Usually level 2, it is a hard inflection point, and usually there can be a dump, but it doesn't. But it doesn't mean that the thing is going to crash unless if there's significant news. There is always going to be pullbacks, and we recognize that as well. So we're looking at Meta to see if it holds 316. LRCX also had a great day today. Rejected our top of our estimated weekly high range by 2 points. So let's see if it holds this 200-day MA at 643. Okay, guys. And going forward, the yields are very important. So definitely something you want to keep an eye out. For the upcoming day, we have the consumer sentiment numbers that's coming out at 10 a.m. And we got the European Union President Lagarde speaking as well. Okay, so interesting to keep in mind. TTD earnings also came out today, very bearish, down 30%. This is likely to affect ad-related stocks such as Meta, which is down as a result, and Google. Okay, so big problem. Let's see if these stocks start to plummet. We will definitely give an idea on that play here. So early on beginning day, we nailed the calls on the semiconductors. We transitioned to the puts. I think I got over 5-6 plays in overall, and it was awesome. And hope you guys learned from this video overall. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. We really appreciate your support, and let's see you guys in the next one. And of course, as always, let's get that money.